Bada boom. Hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are, whatever you do. Justin, thanks so much for the kind words. Glad you find the videos helpful. I find you guys watching these videos even more helpful, because otherwise there would be no use in doing them. So thanks for the feedback. We are in for a treat today. Well, I am. I hope you too. It's new template time. So glad that Audio Imperia did that big sale and updates for the libraries, because that means I was finally able to come out with the Audio Imperia JAEGER template. I've been thinking about that for a while and wanted to do that, but luckily Jan was kind enough to let me know that something is brewing and I should wait a little bit, and I did that, and there we go. Brand new template. It's pretty balls to the wall in terms of size, so you need a decent system to run it, that's for sure. So the RAM load tucks in at 42 gigs, so pretty much the library is 48 gigs in size, so similar to the RAM load what you need to run the full template. I may even consider like a disabled version or something, meaning track disabled version, to kind of approach lower tier systems, let's put it like that, with just, for example, 32 gigs of RAM or even 16. That means you may not be able to run the full template all at once, but still kind of activate as needed. So I'm looking into that right now. It's all single instrument instances approach, which makes it easier to duplicate instances. And yeah, we would talk about that in more detail. How many instrument channels? That is a good question. I actually don't even really know. But if I scroll down the visibility list, we are down to, 160 approximately. Not approximately, it is exactly 159 instrument channels. So, meaning 158 instances of contact. No, it's a little bit less because you have to kind of no, it doesn't count the folders. Okay, that's good. But there's a voiceover channel. So 158 to be precise. Audio Imperia was kind enough to put that track on the official demo list as well. So as usual, if you are familiar with the other templates that I have done, it comes with an empty version to get you going straight away, and it comes with a demo project for you to analyze, dig into, and look what is done to make it sound like it sounds. And right now, the release today is for Cubase and Studio One version 5. Very important, there is no version 4 version for this template. And for the future, there will be no more support for Studio One 4, unfortunately, because Studio One 5 just works way better with these kind of templates, especially with their now inbuilt negative track delay. Sorry, I forgot the coffee. Hey, Flozy. Nice to have you around. So yeah. So Nitty Gritty it's on intro sale till the end of August for $39, and then it goes to $49. And yeah, again, as I've mentioned, Jan was kind enough to put that track into the official playlist for JAEGER demo. So that track that you're about to hear, if you have not heard it yet, is fully 100% JAEGER only. So no extra other sounds. I needed to fiddle a little bit to get the sound that I was looking for. I will come to that in a little bit. If you're not aware, there is an insane bundle sale going on at Native Instruments that has a bunch of Audio Imperia libraries, JAEGER, trailer guitars, Cerberus, and a bunch of other stuff in a huge sale, like 77% off. So the full bundle, I think, for $3.99. It's a pretty awesome deal. So if you don't know about that, head over to the Native Instruments website and check it out. And you need the new version of Jaeger for this template to run. So it does not work with the original Jaeger if you had that before. So you need to update first, then you can use the template. Without further ado, let's jump straight in and take a quick listen to the demo track that you get with the template as well, so you get an idea of what's inside and what it can sound like. So, hope you enjoy. And there you have it. Little nice trailerish demo track to... I tried to really showcase what Jaeger is intended for. So it's a balls to the wall orchestral library. It's not for the silent moments, although it can do a wide range of dynamics, but if you try to use Jaeger for 18th century classical chamber music, you might heavily fail. So that's not the library what it's for. Hey Jason, thank you so much for buying the template. Yeah, so Jason is one of the first who actually got it when it went online in the shop. Glad you like it. There's no better testimonial than an actual customer. One of the best demo I have heard from you so far. Oh wow, thanks Flosi. That's amazing to hear. So some people asked me online on Facebook actually to dig a little deeper as well into when you start off with that type of template, what you can do and how you can expand it when you use other sounds. And I want to be very honest with, so I love the sound of Jaeger overall. Is it possible and easy to get 2 or 3 of your templates? I forgot what I wanted to say because I was reading the chat. Sorry for that. 2 or 3 of your templates in one project. I have Cubase 10.5 and Arc 1 and Jaeger and more. Great work and videos, by the way. Bratislav, first of all, thanks for your support and for getting these templates. I don't think that it's so easy to put them all into one project. So if you look at the Jaeger template alone, it clocks in at nearly 50 gigs of RAM. So unless you have like a huge machine with 128 gigs of RAM, it's not that easy to put all the stuff into one session unless you offload some stuff into like VE Pro or have a slave system. So there is a way to do it, and there will soon be, God, how much can I say about that? There will soon be something to help you if you intend to do so. Well, fuck it, just name it. So I'm working on a dedicated template building masterclass that is going to come out hopefully very soon. That goes into the nitty gritty of all the template stuff and routings and various possibilities of how you can do it within the project with vPro. And so that is coming soon. I cannot tell you how soon. And that may be helpful in building bigger templates. Because the thing is, I cannot really sell like or bring into the shop a huge template that features a lot of libraries, because it's just so individual per user. You never know which library somebody has, and you cannot like do the all-in-one solution with all the libraries and you just pick and choose. That's just not possible. So I figured the best way to do it is to give a starting point with these one library templates. And they fulfill two purposes. First, to obviously get a better understand. First and foremost, to get you working without thinking about anything. Loading it up, start to write, and you don't need to worry about anything. And the second thing is obviously to dig deeper into the connections and see for yourself how I approach template setup. I mean, I don't say that Mai is the ultimate solution, but it's the one that has proven working for me over the years. So I would put it like that. But to answer your question, there's not an easy way to combine all these templates into one project unless you build a bigger template and offload some of the RAM usage to, for example, a slave system or something. Wait a second. Didn't want you to hear that. Strawberry time, of course. There's also one major difference to the, for example, Nucleus template, which comes pre-mixed pretty much. Because of the nature of these like hybrid and trailer tracks, you cannot really give like a mixing preset for the whole template because it really depends on what anyone is writing. And so what I did today is have the mixed demo with all the mixing settings. So if you were interested on why the horns sound like the horns sound, you can look into VMR and see, okay, this is what's happening. You can even save these presets for yourself for future use. I didn't include a bank per se. I mean, I did a bank for myself, but I was very lazy on this one in terms of no, I was not lazy. I just did it for the demo itself. But the template, the empty template itself is hi Sergio, nice to have you around. The actual template is not mixed. Everything is there for you to get going with mixing. So when you say I write a trumpet performance passage, and you hear it's dry, so you can adjust the reverb and delay, whatever we have to your liking. And then you can mix. I prefer Virtual Mix Rec. You can obviously replace that with whatever tools you like to work with, and can get going right away with your own settings or whatever you usually do for your own mixes. Hey Potro, glad to have you around. Sergio, and you buy it in an instant. Well, let me check my sales. No, can't see it yet. Where are you? Go get it. No, seriously. So again, everything is there for you to mix, but it does not come pre-mixed because it's kind of not possible with that kind of stuff. But I want to dig deep into some of the elements that I think are great about Jaeger, and also definitely want to make you aware of some of the stuff that I consider the libraries. Sergio, Sergio, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. The kaching from my shop just came in. Ba-ding. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, where was I? I was taken off the track with another sale. Yeah, the mixing. So you can look into the mixing decisions that I've made for the track here, and yeah, the libraries like strength and weaknesses. I want to dig into that a little bit more in a moment. So when we listen, for example, just to the, or I consider the demo as a learning tool as well to get to know the library a little bit more and see what you can do with it. Because let's take for example the pads. Oh my god, what's happening? Flosy, thank you so much. What can I say? You're awesome. So I gathered that a lot of people don't really utilize the library to its full potential or its full strength when it comes to Sergio, how much RAM is needed? That is a good question. As it is right now, it clocks in at close to 42 gigs of RAM. So we look at 35 right now. So I think it, when first loads, it's like 42, 43, but it goes down a little bit, at least on my system. So I hope that is fine. Fuck, I just see I'm on 80% memory. I shouldn't do that much more. Hey, Devin. Good evening. Welcome to the show. So, yeah, using the library to its strength. And with a new update, I have to be honest, I love the new interface from Audio Imperia. They did such a fantastic job. I mean, it's very similar to what Nucleus already had, but a few things, especially for the sound design patches, that you... let's consider this a little, not a masterclass, but a deep dive into what you can do with some of the sounds and how much more you can do than it looks like on the surface first. So when you load these pad patches, for example, we have in the sound design section, we have pads, and there are 10 pads in there. So I actually did one track per pad just for the sake of getting started. But let's look at the interface a little bit. So we all know that you have a pad, you have a tech face, and you have a nice sound, and it's spread out through the keyboard. So that's the Jaeger template is for Studio One and Cubase at the moment, and I plan on doing a Logic version as well. But I need to convince my wife to give me her MacBook so I can do the studio the Logic template, because I am absolutely no Logic user at all, but I try my best to at least have the template there. And I did 2 templates for Logic as well already, so at least I get it working. But wifey had her first day of university today, so she started studying, and now she has the MacBook, and I cannot build my templates in Logic, so gotta buy her some flowers or something. So back to the interface, the pads and the whole sound design thing. I love that all the libraries have the same interface now. So some stuff is self-explanatory, volume, pan. That volume controller is independent from the contact volume controller and is not controlled by CC7. So in the initial setting, CC7 controls the contact volume still, not this one. Nothing to worry about. Panning is clear. Pitch is very fine and hard to set. unless you hit the lock icon, then you can go in full steps. So it's way easier to do it like this. And I will come to the pitch in a second because I used that in the demo as well. Then we have a cutoff filter that I have attached to the mod wheel because I love to have that stuff on the mod wheel. Then we have the obvious attack and release, stereo spread to make it wider or more narrow. You have also a high frequency, low high pass filter, that's what it's called, to get rid of the low end. Also sometimes very helpful in a mix especially. And then you have the whole shebang of effects section, which is pretty cool. Let's go them through once Studio One is finished with saving. Let's quickly look through them. Compressor, distortion, lo-fi, sound degradation, bit crusher, so to say, rotary speaker, chorus, flanger, phaser, delay, and reverb. I use some of these in the demo track as well. But where this thing really gets even more interesting than it is on the surface is with some of the controls and how you use the sounds that are provided. So global, for example, doesn't really do anything with the pad because we have one sound spread out, but it's some of the other sound design elements. You have several samples, and you can either globally affect all the samples, or when you turn that off, just affect the one sample that you currently have active. So for that sound, it doesn't really matter. But first thing is you can reverse the playback direction, meaning you play it backwards, which immediately brings us to this next element, which is the sample start slider here. I have in the template in the demo, this one is attached to CC5. So you can move it around, or you can just drag it with a mouse. Because when you activate backwards playback or reverse playback, it doesn't work unless you move that slider somewhere on because it needs to play from here in this direction. So, and obviously, I mean, with that pad sound, there is not much difference whether you play backwards or forwards. So that may not be the best showcase scenario, but I want to show with these pads how much you can do with these attack and release sounds and with the included effects. So when you bring the attack all the way down and make a short release, you can create pluck sounds where you not hear much. So you need to move the sample start slider somewhere where there's actual wave information. Sergio, what is mean with as one port? I'm not following. S1 usually stands for Studio One, but not really sure what I mean there. So bringing the attack all the way down in a short release creates and you gotta be a little bit careful when you take the attack too far down. You get this click sound in the beginning. So gotta move that up a little bit. And also what I want to do, by the way, I just realized that I have a little bit of a track delay because I still have the FabFilter Pro L on the master. Let me remove that quickly. So that should help a little bit. Yeah, that's better. The Cubase template name. Oh, wait a second. Now I need to check something. Did I make an error in the upload? S1 port was my Cubase project that I used to port the MIDI data from, because I started working with this template in Cubase and then did the Studio One version. And the port is actually not something that should have appeared in the shop. So now that you mentioned that, that means something went wrong there. Let me quickly check that. Of course, fuck me, are you serious? So this is the download and this is the wrong project. Okay, thanks for spotting that. I cannot believe that. So I got to quickly, bear with me, I need to quickly fix the file in the shop. So anyone who has already bought the Cubase JAEGER template will get an update in a second with the correct version. Holy hell, and that on the live stream. But well, thanks for pointing that out right away, so at least any future templates don't get... I mean, it still works because you get the full demo project, just not the empty template. But that is going to be fixed in a second. Holy hell, thanks. Yeah, I worked all night on this. Might be a little bit tired today. Hey, Paul, Sergio has come out. Yeah, they're still writing. Oh, Paul. There we go. So sorry for that. It still works. If you open the port version, you will actually realize that all the instruments are disabled. Maybe that's even something helpful. Anyway, back to topic. So this is uploading. You will, anyone who grabbed the Cubase version will get an update email in a second. So this is fixed. Back to the Studio One version and the attack and release settings. So then when you choose a different sound, for example. So for example, I think the fragment, no, not the fragment. One of these pad sounds, I used to create a synth bass in the demo. So when we listen to this, this is the actual transmissions pad. And I created that sound out of the pad. Simple 8th notes bass. So it's the same synth sound, just with a little bit of tweaking on the virtual mix rack. So that is the sound as it comes out of the contact interface. And I think what I did there is obviously attack and release, a little bit more volume, took a little bit high end out of the sound, and put a heavy amount of compression and a little bit of distortion on it. And I think, did I tune it down as well? No, I didn't pitch it. So you get a nice, decent bass sound out of the pad, for example. So then another thing on the pings, for example, I think I used the pitched up version. No, I pitched that down. So the original sound was actually this. And funny enough, I needed the high sound at the end of the track, so I just duplicated that track and had the high version here. So just the synth department from JAEGER sounds pretty cool on its own now. So when we just listen to the synth and the sound effects. Okay, update is done. Actually, let me put that in the... So that's just the synth section. Now you hear this, the synth bass underneath from the pad. And funny enough, on a lot of these sounds, I don't really have any processing at all. So when we look at the Brahms, for example, are straight out of the box. There's no need to tweak them heavily. Don't even know. No, even in the effects, I did nothing. So it's really just play a little bit low pass filter on it to so that was the original sound. Just took out a little bit of high end because that high end is actually coming from the brass. Quick note on the brass, that is really what makes that track shine. The brass in Jaeger is amazing, and especially now with the included, if you don't have talos, they included the 12-horn sustains, staccatissimo, and the performance patches. So you can use a little bit of talos even if you don't have talos, but only Jaeger. And they sound amazing together. So this is the brass section on its own. No, it's not. There we go. But funny enough, why was the low brass not playing? There should be a signal. Saving. I just realized I think I need to fix something in the Studio One version as well, because that should actually go down to C. Need to take a note of that. Etc, etc. So brass is really, really nice. I love the horns. I didn't even use the legato horns in this one. Well, let's try that with the track delay. Bring on a little bit of reverb and maybe load the horns template. So, that brings me to the point that I mentioned at the beginning. I think Jaeger is a really, really cool library, but I personally think that giving the fact that it is a library aimed for hybrid and kind of trailer music with a lot of bangs and whooshes and all the sound design stuff, which is great. Does most of your work get set out to be played by real orchestra? Most of your work stay from VST libraries. The most, if you ask for the most, then the most is in the box, unfortunately. I would love to have more live orchestra stuff, but I mean, it is what it is. It's tough to have live orchestras. But yeah, if you ask for what's the most stuff is in the box. So the sound design section is really good, and you see some tricks and some stuff how it's done in the template as well. There's some automation, for example, on the riser. If we just listen to this, Riser, there we go. And that's coming in here. So you get some nice, that's the plain channel volume here. And then it's just doing some eighth drops, then 6. So just some stutter effects derived just from the automation of the volume knob. So this is a little trick, even when you don't have timed risers that are timed to the click, you can still get like a little bit of a time feel no matter what the sound source behind is. There's that. Then again, another thing, I was looking for these really short hybrid hits that especially for the ending part. So when we listen to that again. And that is actually missing in the library, these type of sounds that I was looking for. So I took one of these hit patches, basically. These are the hit patches. And then I took one of these sounds on this here. Let's solo the hits alone here. And I don't know which one it was. I think this one. And moved the start slider to the hit and brought the attack all the way down and had a short release on this one. And that way you can instantly create like a short hit that initially sounds like this. And this together layered with the drums, we come to that in a second, actually creates a nice short sound. And it doesn't really matter that you don't have a round robin or anything like that, because you have the whole orchestra banging on the same rhythm. So it sounds like... Something is very odd, because that should sit here. Why is that not working? I have no idea what's happening here. Give me a moment, I need to figure out what's going on here. The Parlamento time is wrong. Why is that? So it should sound like this. So now it's sitting on the right point. I'm gonna figure that out. Holy hell, I was really tired, I guess. So it should sound like this. So that alone helps a lot to support, and this is my kind of my critique point that I mentioned in the beginning. Because I personally strongly think that the percussion section in JAEGER is the weak point of the library. I tried my best to make it kind of big and epic and sounding huge. But when you see tools like Damage or the new Keep Forest Ferrum, which we are going to do a live stream with on Thursday 11 a.m. PST, JAEGER lacks a little bit in that department. So when I take the hits off, just the percussion, given what you get in the library, it's pretty much the Grand Casa. Snares. Cerberus is absolutely a great library, works really, really well. I just have to admit, but this is really, it comes down to taste. I'm just not a big fan of the sound of Cerberus overall. It's a great library and you can get great results, but I like Damage and some Cube Forest stuff more. But really, I recently watched again Daniel's video on Cerberus that he did like a year ago. And it's amazing what sound he gets out of the library, and it sounds sickly good. And the loops are great as well. I mean, when we can take a look at it. I mean, I have it here since I have the bundle. We can surely take a look at it. I never really got totally warm with the sound of Cerberus. So let's take this guy, for example. It is cool, that's for sure. But then again, high C8 grows 59. Grow 59, sorry. So I wanted to actually give a recommendation. If you get the JAEGER template and want to kind of spice up the percussion department a little bit more, there is a free option that is actually insane that it's free, because you don't even need the full version of Contact. Keep Forest has done a free edition of their Ferrum drum, and I just found that this works insanely well together with the JAEGER template. So it's basically just a small selection of their big library, but the sounds that are in there are really great, especially the short hits. This is actually what I wanted to achieve with JAEGER only, and kind of failed a bit. Well, I didn't fail, it worked. But when you compare, like, for example, the hits that I generated from the included hits in JAEGER, so it works in context, but when I then just move that over here, it's just a totally different thing. But also, and I really recommend it because it's just fucking free. Yep. So we need to go there. When you layer these, and we don't want to have -250 on this one. And I obviously need to mute the other ones then. There we go. So now we have Ferrum only for these hits. There is, I mean, this is a fucking freebie. If you don't grab that, I don't know what else you should grab. And that in combination with the JAEGER template gets you a lot of mileage. Actually, what I want to do in the stream today is actually delete the demo track and just write another one and see where we can take it. To see the template actually in use and in action, because I think that's the best sentiment to see if it works and if it can get you something and you can get something out of it. So let's keep that track here. Just a few things that I did on the track overall to make it a little more interesting and show you maybe some production techniques. There is a delay on the... So the taiko has that little sound that sounds like clock ticking, the rim shot on the taiko in Jaeger. So we have this sound. And there's this taiko rim shot, and I felt that sounds like a clock. And to raise the intensity, I automated the send level for the percussion delay on this one. So when I solo that sound, it starts here. And you hear that the delay comes in more and more. And these are just like these subtle effects that kind of create a little more tension and like a feel of a build. And they have their biggest moment right before the final hits, right before the final hits come in, when they kind of are exposed solo. And I bring them down a little bit and bring them back in again. Hey, Subvapes, Sergio, but the level this hit in Keep Forest, how to manage? You mean the overall volume of the hits and stuff like that? Well, we can look into that when we work with it. These sounds are freaking... I don't know what they did, but this is amazing. And this is fucking free! Sergio, we can look into that while working with it. But in the end, not really different than on all the other stuff. You just want to make sure you don't hit the rats, and you want to make sure that, for example, the hit in the end that comes in here, the short hits and also the percussion on the toms, for example, that support the short hits, they don't come in on the one. So they leave the one open for the big hits. So when you have percussions and big hits, try to make sure that they don't necessarily fall together. So would you recommend merging your nucleus and Jaeger template? I would not necessarily recommend merging. Because there's a lot of redundancy between the two. So if you, for example, have the Jaeger strings, you don't need the nucleus strings, because the nucleus strings are like a stripped down version of what's in Jaeger. And Jaeger now has the viola legato as well. No, Jaeger does not have the... Wait a second, does Jaeger have the viola legato? Or was that nucleus? Oh, Jaeger now has viola legato as well. So... we have legato. Actually, it's a beautiful legato. I really love the new update. And with the legato smooth controller, you can now even control how smooth you want to have the legato. Not much of a difference, but it's there. CC volume is CC11. CC11 brings down the overall volume. So CC11 is, or expression as they call it, but it's just another volume slider. Mod wheel is dynamics, and CC7 is the actual contact volume. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's the same with damage as well, and a lot of these hybrid sound libraries, AD or hybrid tools has that same problem. Yeah, you need to have a good eye on the output. I usually bring that down to like -10 from the get-go. So just two, the initial setting was -6, and just 2 sounds alone. I mean, it's close to clipping. And don't forget that I have the initial track on -5 already. So yeah, these kind of sounds, it's a fine line between bringing them down enough to not be over the top, but you have them loud enough to still kill through the mix. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned the rhythm engine, so there is really some cool stuff in here. But more for that on Thursday when we do the actual Ferrum stream. Why am I on Ferrum now? I want to talk about Jaeger and the template. Because I mentioned that. So for me, the weak point, honestly, is the percussion section. I tried my best to make it as big as I can overall. And when we listen just to the sound effects and the percussion, I think it works. I tweaked the shit out of that low taiko. You see, it's on the low taiko is OTT and virtual mix rec. That's the original sound. And then the toms come in and take over. I tried to make it sound very big, but yeah, for me the percussion in Jaeger is the weak point of the library. Yeah, but if you have the bundle, I mean, you have Cerberus to compensate for that. And that ending turned out really nice. I liked that. You sound tired. You should build one more template before you go to bed tonight. Well, the next one is in the works already. I actually announced that like weeks ago. But yeah, so it does the job, but if you want to go more hybrid and more trailerish with the sound, you're kind of a little bit limited. But again, if you got the whole bundle, there's so much more that you can play with. I was actually thinking of doing a template like for the full bundle, but Have you had any issues with version 5 of Studio One and plugins? Not that I'm aware of. Emmanuel, dude, do you have Twitch? Dude, I stream on Twitch right now. It's twitch.tv/composing-tutorials. So if that helps, let me actually check. Is that running? Twitch.tv/composing-tutorials. Yup, that is running and live. So say hi. There you go. So Twitch works as well. But yeah, usually during the stream I hang out more on YouTube than on Twitch, to be honest. Where were we? Please do. Oh, please do. In regards to the other template. Okay, I got it. Paul, thank you. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, Twitch is running as well. Thanks for the follow there, Devin. Appreciate it. And I leave you with another, I mean, some guys and maybe girls, I don't know, of you came later, so I will just give you another one run through of the trailer track for the Nucleus template. Let's make that very tiny, minimal. There you go. So I give you another one run through. Maybe you're right. Maybe I sound tired. So listen to that baby, and I will be back in a second. Well, no, I will not. I will first mute my mic. Okay. See you in a minute. I did wash my hands. So there you go. In case you came later, welcome to the show. And yeah, that's the new template for Audio Imperia's Jaeger, currently on sale with native instruments. If you are interested in grabbing the whole bundle, it's like 77% off. Let me quickly catch up with the chat. Any plan on showing how to add additional tracks for instrument from other libraries in Cubase version tonight? Don't know Studio One at all, so some of the specifics will likely get lost if only Studio One. It's pretty similar, but I can easily just switch the version and switch to Cubase, and we can take a look at that. Paul, a full AI template. I actually will need to look into the necessities and what resources are required for that. I think you either need a 128 gig system for that or a slave. Subfits is worth upgrading from version 4 to 5 for Studio One. If you ask me personally, I definitely say yes, alone for the fact that finally the negative track delay works. So that is something that is invaluable for me. And I overall really like the feel of the new version 5. It works great for me. So some of the stuff is plain amazing in Studio One, how it works with drag and drop. Just one thing, for example, in Cubase, when you want to, let's say you have all these MIDI data, MIDI tracks. In Cubase, you can, or let's first of all say in Studio One, let's say all these MIDI channels, I want to have these not on minus 250, but on minus 100. It changes all the channels, as you would expect. Cubase does not fucking do that. Cubase forces you to do that individually on every single fucking channel. It's hell. So this is just some of the small stuff. And another thing in the mixer in Studio One, what I really love is when you one thing, for example, when you have a send effect. Let's say I want to send this track to this sound effects reverb. So, and I want to do this on all these tracks too. I just fucking grab it and put it here, and all other channels are now routed to the same sound effects reverb. Cubase does not do that. So this is some of the stuff that I really, really find amazing in the workflow with Studio One. So you likely see me more often streaming with Studio One because I just love the way it behaves with these regular tasks that you need to do. And overall, it just feels a little bit more snappy. But then again, there is some stuff that I freaking don't understand that they don't have that implemented that yet. For example, in Cubase, when I have like this view that I can just say, show me only the tracks that have data. So hide all the other tracks. That is just not possible in Studio One. And also the whole hide function. So when I say I select multiple channels that I say I want to hide these, I just changed the negative track delay on all of these channels because they were selected. When I now click hide, it just hides this channel instead of all the selected. Why is that? So and at least I haven't figured. Okay, when I alt click, it hides all the channels. What the hell? Why? I think when I alt click that again, then it unhides everything. So this is some stuff where I seriously hope that Studio One upgrades that in the near future. I must have said something resembling Siri. My phone was going crazy. Christopher, yes, you can do stuff on multiple tracks, but the stuff that I just showed with the mixer is not possible in Cubase. I can't select all these channels and say go to percussion reverb, for example. That is the same in Cubase. But having one reverb and just dragging it to the other channels, and all the other channels get that automatically, in the way Studio One handles that, it's not possible in Cubase. But anyway, Subwits, do your ADO plugins work okay? I think I read about some issues on VI Control recently with some of the ADO stuff. Let me quickly check it. Most importantly, what do I have here? So I think there was some stuff in Agitado, but it works. Yeah, so the interface is fine. Yeah, Christopher, I use Quick Link in Cubase all the time for my edits. But again, one of the things that really bugs me with Cubase is when you select multiple channels and want to change the negative track delay to say these channels shall be sitting on -127. So now it changes all the channels to 127. This is fucking not possible in Cubase. I don't understand why. You have to do every single channel on its own. Anyway. Where? So someone asked to open the same project in Cubase, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to close this. I don't want to save it. I just realized that I need to update the Studio One version for the terminal as well, because there are just 2 issues in the Studio One version. I will update that soon and re-upload to the server. Good thing I found that. But yeah, so I will be gone for a second, well, my mic at least, and I will bring up the Cubase version. One thing to note, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm sticking to Studio One a little more than to Cubase. Look at the CPU usage, even when it's playing. So we are talking about 160 contact instances, fully mixed. How many instances of reverb and delay? Let's check. It's not that much. It's like 20 sound effects. But yeah, fully mixed, fully slate. My kind of, how do you put it? My plugin of choice for using as a channel strip. I can do 90% of what I need to do on my tracks in terms of mixing. I can do with just the slate via VMR. And the whole template playing back is sitting at no more than 50% CPU usage. So it's scratching close to 50%. And when we open the same project with the same settings in Cubase, you will see what happens. So the Cubase Oscillator meter is sitting, and by the way, with the same audio settings, so 512 buffer size. So let me quickly close Studio One and bring up Cubase with the same project. Talk to you in a second. Maybe I bring up my mic volume, or I just write for the time being. So give me a moment. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. Just make solo save. Funny enough, my Cubase channel seems to be quieter than my Studio One channel. How can I fix that? So hopefully that's better. Okay, now we are in Cubase. I was just going crazy because I realized that in Cubase, the whole thing clocks in at like 50 gigs, but it will go down. I'm not really sure why that is. So usually it kind of goes crazy and then it goes down to like 35 to 40. But that's why my system is currently a little bit struggling because I only have 64 gigs on my master. But the first thing that we see is in the performance meter idle is that we are looking at like 55, close to 60% ASIO load compared to the 40% we had at Studio One. So that is one of the main reasons why I'm currently more and more working in Studio One instead of Cubase. So Scambot, to your question, what do you prefer? I'm still kind of struggling a little bit with really preferring anything over the other. I like the snappiness and the way Studio One works, and most importantly, the fact that it seems to be more resource friendly than Cubase at the moment. I really hope that this gets better in version 11. That hopefully comes. What do they usually do around Black Friday? They do a new version, or was it Christmas? I'm not sure. So end of the year, there's likely going to be a Cubase 11, and I really hope they fix a bunch of stuff with that. But yeah, the visibility function is something that is one of the most amazing treats of Cubase that no other DAW has in that way as Cubase has it. I mean, I like the fact that it can bring down the faders even more than you can in Cubase. So Studio One allows you to bring the size of the channels down even more. Cubase can only go up till what you see here. So that's the smallest it can get. Doesn't get smaller than this. Kind of still too big for my taste if you want to get an overview. But then you say, okay, show only tracks with data between the locators, and then you're back to normal. So playback, same project now in Cubase, same settings, same plugins, same. We do have the FabFilter Pro L on the master, so watch your ears. I think I need to reset that first. So there we go. What happened? Why was there a blackout? It was a quick CPU spike. Wow, I didn't have that before. Okay. To my for my understanding, didn't run the streaming software at the same time before when I was working on this. So the streaming OBS obviously takes a bunch of the CPU away. I give my program that. I never had any dropouts when playing that back when I did not stream. Also, I have to admit, I think I'm driving the fab filter pretty hard on this one. My nice backgrounds are gone. There we go. Nice backgrounds again. So the fab filter is slamming it really hard. But I wanted to have this sound. That's without. But again, so if we compare that with really the same plugins and the same settings and everything, Cubase is close to 1/3 higher in Azure load than Studio One. So I think that is one of the main reasons why I tend to use Studio One more and more. But yeah, let's look into some of the routings and some of the stuff. What I would suggest is to kind of take that whole shit, delete it, and have a strawberry. So Flozy, you mentioned you found a typo with JAEGER version 1.1.0, and I just want to see if you really found a typo or if I am correct, because I think that with the new pyramid engine behind it, JAEGER is now... Where are we? Where are we? Checking that out, checking that out. Fuck you, right. It's 1.3.0, not 1.1.0. Okay. In case anybody watches that and wants to purchase the template through the link below the video, and by the way, if you're not subscribed to this channel, you can do the same thing. Just hit that subscribe button, and if you even like that, maybe leave a like. That helps. Do you provide a mastering service? Yes, but it's very, very expensive. No, not officially, but I master a lot of stuff, so maybe that should be something I should think about and get into. I just slammed the shit out of it, so I don't need the tempo track here, and I don't need this, so I have more space here. I can certainly look into mastering stuff, but honestly, I think you're better off with a decent mastering engineer than me. Anyway. And now we come to the point that I mentioned before. When you start working from the template itself, either Cubase or Studio One, it comes pretty much unmixed. So there is not no mixing and no effect sense. They are pre-set up, but they're not active. So if you want to have reverb on the strings, you just need to bring that up. Okay, there was a question for a quick overview of the routing setup. Let's start from bottom to top, so to say. this is another thing where Cubase shines with the macros and logic editor and the key commands, so that you can put a lot of stuff, show folders, show only these tracks, etc. Putting that on macros is so valuable. So I would love to have these type of functions in Studio One. Then it would be even more awesome. But on the other hand, maybe that's the reason why Cubase overall has a little more resource necessities because of all that stuff running in the background. You want to know what my contact settings are. So obviously it's contact 6. And you can see in the settings and the memory, I overrun the 60 kilobytes and use 42. I could bring that down even more, but bringing that down means more CPU power needed. And the engine, funny enough, I have that on 8 cores. I thought I had that off and have Cubase take care of the core distribution. So memory I have on 42 and engine I have on... I wonder if I set contact to let Cubase handle the core distribution, if that would change. Are you guys ready for a test? That means I need to close Cubase again and need to reopen it, but I would love to try if that significantly changes the CPU load. I was under the assumption that I had this on off, so that Cubase actually controls the processor load. Hey Profundus, how you doing? How's Australia? No, not Australia. Again, same thing, Florida, right? Why do I always think you're Australia? I don't know why. Yeah, actually, let's give that a test. So just to make sure and to recap, so Studio One had a setting, and I deleted all the MIDI data. Can I undo that? Yes, I can. So the track load was clipping actually, and Christopher, right, you were from Australia. So we're getting close to 75%, and even had clipping in the end on the ASIO meter. So, and Cubase saves right now. That's another thing. That session takes a little longer to save. So I recommend to put your quick save or your auto save to like 15 minutes or something. Yeah, Christopher, you're the one from Australia. Sorry for that. I always mix that up. I have so many people watching me. How can I? No, just kidding. So yeah, let's give that a try. I want to save that. It just saved, didn't it? I mean, yeah, I get it. It's fucking 160 tracks, individual contact instances. It takes a little time. So, but I need to do it again because I'm going to save a new version just to make sure to don't override the other one, because that is the actual one on the shop. So we're looking at 60% idle and 75% in use. Well, this library is completely streaming from the same drive, but overall my system, I have, I don't know, 7 SSDs in my system, housing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SSDs. Whereas this is the shittiest one because that is sitting at an extra PCIe card because I didn't have any more SATA spots on my motherboard. And I bought a SATA a PCIe card, but it's shit. So reading is very slow. So all the libraries that are streamed from that drive kind of reach 100% disk load. So I'm going to switch that out to a less used one and put the 2 terabyte onto the SATA port directly attached to the motherboard. Anyway, long story short, let's go to contact and go to the settings and change that to off. So that would unfortunately force me to reload the whole thing. So save that again. And then I will force quit Cubase. It's faster that way. By the way, now that the template has loaded for a while, yeah, now we're at 38. Remember when the template loaded first, we looked at like 56. So it goes up and then it goes down a bit. I'm not really sure why that is. If anybody knows, please explain to me. I appreciate the input. And Chrome is stealing all the RAM as well, of course. Have you noticed different sample loops from NVMe or SSD? Yes, I did. So drive D and E are my NVMe drives, and these are the fastest I have. I hate that red, but it is what it is. And my most used and most heavy libraries are sitting on these 2 drives. NVMe is a tad better. So yeah, I will be back in a second. I'm quitting Cubase. 1, 2, check. Okay, we're back. We're back. So, I changed contact from 8 cores self. Let's just make sure that the studio settings in Cubase are correct. So activate multi. So since you asked how to tell Cubase the processor load, activate multiprocessing is pretty much the only thing you can do. You can either activate or deactivate it. I had the ASIO guard on normal. And 512 is my setting for my RME. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. Do you know any reliable software to create a Win 10 system backup of an M2 NVMe? Well, I mean, I have Backblaze running in the background, so Backblaze is my backup solution. So nearly 2 terabytes. And this is great. The only thing for Backblaze where it sucks is for USB drives and stuff like that, because if you unplug them, then it deletes the backup. Kind of. But well, it's $6.99 a month. So what do you expect? But it's great. So I used it. Well, I had not to use it for full system backup, but there were a few files that I were able to recover through Backblaze. So that was great. And yeah, CH mentioned that a Cronus backup is great to create. I have one backup on a disk drive lying around that is a copy of my system once I had everything installed and ready to roll. I mean, technically I should do a new backup of the current state because there's so much stuff that went into the system meanwhile and changed. But overall, yeah, I have an Acronis backup as well. And then my project files are saved daily at 12. That is the little message that comes in at midnight. That unfortunately right now doesn't back up because the file path is wrong, so I need to fix that. I should do that very soon. Anyway, back to topics. So I have the slight feeling that the load is even higher now than was before. Let's give it a quick playthrough and see. Holy friggin' hell. So in that scenario, with having multiple instances of contact, it looks like that it's advisable to have contact control the core load itself and not Cubase. Okay, this is something that I don't understand. We changed the settings for contact. And it didn't change it here. It still says 8 cores. That I don't understand. L2 has an LUFS setting, yes. L2 is here. You can have an LUFS setting. That's for me, that's the most transparent and best mastering limiter available on the market. So it doesn't get much better than the L2. I love this thing. So you definitely don't need to change that on a per instance basis. Okay, I'm gonna how can I speed up the process? Okay, what I'm gonna do, and that's actually good for me to know, I want to deactivate the instances that are not used because I actually want to provide a deactivated version as an alternative for people who don't have 64 gigs of RAM, for example. So, and I think the template also loads faster when I have more deactivated than activated instances in here. So let's quickly deactivate that. By the way, when talking about mastering limiters, Ozone Maximizer is my second place, close second after the L2. So quickly just deactivating the channels that I don't need in the project. Would be great if Cubase allowed me not only to show only tracks with data, but also show only tracks with no data. I think that's possible with a logic editor to set that up pretty quickly. But for now, yeah, actually I would be faster by deselecting the tracks with data. So let's do it like this. Select all of these. And first of all, make that smaller. There we go. So then select all of these and then unselect the ones that have data. So in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just deactivating all the tracks that don't have any data. Honestly, I do love Studio One more and more as well. I have to be honest there. There's a lot of stuff to like about it. But then again, there's some stuff where Cubase is still better. But right now, Cubase loses by miles in terms of CPU usage. So, but I'm just trying to figure out right now. Sorry that this is turning into such a technical thread today, but I'm really interested in that myself. So let's quickly deactivate these channels. I think for the rest, we're fine. Let's quickly check the RAM load. I brought it down by 6 gigs. So save. And now it should be much faster in saving and also much faster in loading. Well, not that much faster, as we can see now. I'm going to close this so my voice will be gone for a second. I just want to quickly find out something. So there we are back. I am actually not really sure. I need to update my channel strip because that is actually louder. So let me quickly save that as like a. Oh, where did I have that? Empty plus voiceover. So whenever I need an empty project, I can load that and have the voiceover right away. So that's good. Let's bring in Contact again. Maybe I didn't save the setting. I'm just really not sure what I did wrong. So in the engine, right now, Contact says it uses 8 cores. I want to switch that off. Please close and restart your host application for the changes to become effective. Okay, now it makes more sense. Close. So, close. So, at least we are now faster with Luna. I think now it should work. Because last time when we did that in the template, it didn't ask. Yeah, now the multiprocessor support is off. So now we need to reload the template and check the load. Because now Contact's own multiprocessor support is off and Cubase alone takes care of that. So one last change, one last time to wait a little bit for the template to load. And then we can effectively say if there's a difference in the CPU load that Cubase has on the same project versus zero or core support from Contact turned off. So I will reload the template and meanwhile can only write jokes in the chat. Till in a minute. Oops. Everyone's awake? Holy shit, what happened? Well, would you look at that? It seems like... I mean, I'm not sure, but that brought down... Well, not significantly, but to be fair, I don't know how much influence all the disabled instances now have on this solution. So is it because we brought down... It's an unfair comparison. Is it because we brought down the contact processor setting, or is it because we deactivated all the other instances of contact? Let's see what it behaves like in playback mode. But I strongly believe that it has to do with the core setting in contact. Remember, we were sitting right here at 75 to 80%. And what I can also do is just bring back in the other instruments. And see how much that makes of a difference. Whoever just bought the template, thank you very much. So 2 things that I'm going to promise that I'm going to deliver soon in an update. I will do a deactivated version with no instruments loaded. And it seems like all the settings are there. So the direct routing is there. So that looks good. So I will provide an update with the disabled version. So even if you have a smaller system, you can just activate whatever you need until your PC says, fuck you, I go to sleep. And I want to make fair comparisons with a CPU load. So I want to activate again all the instances we had activated before. So this is a painstaking, long time-consuming process, but I feel it's important because the comparison is only fair when we have the same condition, and that means all the instruments are activated. I just don't want to activate too many at the same time. Yeah, I use QuickLoad, the V Pro when I need it for my big projects or need to go back to old projects. Yeah, but I personally really, I mean, I'm selling the QuickLoad. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's also meanwhile my most used template because I can work the fastest with that, with the least amount of system resources needed. So we are nearly there. Just a few more to go. Actually, I'm faster that way. 2, 3, 4, 5. No, not this one. This one. So we are close to being back with the same settings. The shortcut for activating and deactivating, I put it on the letter T. So I manually did a shortcut for that. You can right click and say enable track or disable track, and I have it on the letter T. So that's pretty convenient and fast. Let me just activate all at once. I hope that will not crash the system, but it shouldn't. Okay, that was faster than expected. So now we have all tracks re-enabled, and we see that has a significant influence on the track load. So I think we are back at the same settings that we had before. So it's not really that much of a difference between Contact doing its own 8-core distribution or setting it to off and letting Cubase handle the distribution. It seems to not make much of a difference. Let me show you, Sergio. You just go to Edit, Key Commands, and here the fastest way is to actually just to search for Enable. Disable Enable Track, and there you have the command, and then you can assign whatever key command you want to assign to it. And there you go. Then you can disable and enable tracks with just the click of a button. So let's quickly play through the project again and see what the track load looks like. I'm honestly surprised how much more the track load is. In Cubase compared to Studio One, I mean. Yeah, so just so you know, I promise an update. In terms of the trailer track will only have the tracks activated that actually use data. The major empty template to work with will have all the tracks, maybe just the first and every section deactivated, so it doesn't start with 40 gigs RAM right away. But maybe 5 or 6 gigabytes needed, and then you can bring in whatever you need. I mean, it's very unlikely that you need all of these string channels to write something. Maybe you want to use the spiccato from the violin, then you activate that. The viola from the legato from the viola. and you're good, you know. So, and it's not that much faster. It's still everything there and ready to go. You just need to activate it. The same works in Studio One as well. So, and I will offer that as an alternative version. I will keep these versions if you have a powerful enough system. You can of course go with these versions. But hey, Kiel, welcome. Yeah, we are currently, this is a very technical stream today. And on the one side, I apologize for that. But on the other side, this is something that we all struggle with every day and look into. And maybe it's a good idea to look at that together and see what the best practice is. I'm really curious, and I hate that we had the wait time in between, but I want to load the Studio One version again. Because since we changed the contact setting from 8 cores to 0 or to off, I should. Oh, great to know. Works perfectly smooth on my MacBook Pro with 64 gigs. Yeah, 64 is absolutely fine. With 64, you're absolutely safe with this one. But yeah, we have people in the chat and also people writing to me who only have 32 gigs of RAM, for example. And I just want to make a version available that is workable for these folks as well. So back to topic. I want to compare that again with bringing up Studio One and loading the template, but now keep the context setting at off instead of these 8 cores. So that is another 2 minutes of silence and only talk through the chat. I hope you bear with me. I can turn on some music meanwhile. Anything specific you guys want to hear? Let's look at my Bandcamp. Let's listen to some stuff from... I mean, I'm biased, but I love the Until It Hurts soundtrack. So I will play something from that. See you in 2 minutes.